It would be unfortunate.
It is unfortunate for you not to be ready, because we are live. That's the. Though there was a thing there, because if there's not a tech gremlin issue, is it really an episode of Hammered Out though?
I don't see faces. Now they see faces. Where are the? God damn it! I'm seeing.
Wait.
So the chat decided that since we were late, as we always are, that they were gonna set everything on fire until we showed up.
And now there's fire extinguishers in the chat.
There's fire emojis as far as the eye can see scrolling up.
Oh, there's fire extinguishers now. They're putting it out.
It was coming through like fast. Like there was fire for miles and miles and miles. It's bad. Cirrus, where'd you go?
What?
Oh,
I've been here the whole time.
That's right. My co-host is here. Welcome to Hammered Out.
It's been me the whole time.
It's okay. You think that the human thing is what's behind, is the voice behind all those videos that Cirrus does?
It's me.
It's actually a plushie that is holding a hammer.
It's been me the whole time. Hi.
God damn it.
Are you okay?
Why am I on this show?
I don't know.
All right. So there's bread in the chat now too. And we're gonna have to be. It's not. I haven't even told you to put it down.
No, this is just. They brought the bread. They delivered the bread. Also, I can wiggle the hammer. See?
I don't know how I feel about that. Happy Thursday, everybody. I don't know what we're talking about this time. Cirrus said that he wanted to talk about death, and I was like, "That's an uplifting subject. Let's do it."
It's such a large hammer, though. What?
The cat is scratching something.
Calcifer is warning you that the stream is cursed.
The stream is absolutely cursed. So, I told Cirrus that I would have I would find a Twitter thread to totally derail this stream like I did last time, because this is the same subject he wanted to talk about last time. But I was like, no, we should talk about Bogo the Clown's crazy thread about, pronouns in the bio.
Pronouns on bio means your opinion's invalid. The hammer's gone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Guys.
So, oh my God, the chat has gone insane.
It's now just.
I'm seeing
it
so
is
much.
now just
happening.
a hammer.
There needs to be there needs to be a bread plushie with a smiley face that is the actual host of Hammered Out that kicks both of us off.
Wait a minute.
And then shares the host position with everybody in the chat.
Hold on. I have. Ocean, can you take over the stream for maybe like a minute?
Oh God, why? Yes, but
I will be right back.
Oh no. Cirrus is about to seize the means of production. More fan art of this is coming. Of course. So, chat, hello. Now things are no longer on fire, it seems. How is everybody over there? Spammered out with Ocean and Real Cirrus. And now it's full of Woos. Why? How? So many Woos. Bring back Real Cirrus. I've been left alone and abandoned by Cirrus to host his channel. Now, I guess we can do whatever we want here. I'm here to proselytize heathenry to all of you. All of you need to convert now. No one expects the heathen inquisition. No, release from your torment. This is now Ocean's channel. Yes, of course. Wait a minute. My subscriber count has gone up significantly. And now Cirrus is ducked around behind the desk again. He's going to do something. And I'm going to feel like I'm in a puppet show in 3rd grade again. Oh my God.
Hello. It's bread.
He actually has a plushie with a bread with a smiley face on it.
It's bread time.
He literally
bread, everybody.
Has this. He has this. Guys, Cirrus has a bread all right.
Even better, it can wink at you.
It fucking winks.
Yeah.
I love how he pulls it down, then turns around. All right, the chat is now full of bread. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm popping back up now.
Oh my god. What has happened to this channel? What has happened to this show? I don't know what to do. Exactly. Everybody's just like, Ocean is fucking stuck. Yep, Ocean.exe has crashed.
Ocean is
in
done.
the face of bread. I don't know what to do. But
the best part is we've actually had that plushie for about 8 months.
Things have gone awry, if you will.
Wow, that's such a bad joke. Do you want me to rise to that or something, or like?
No.
Pumpernickel.
At yeast, I have made a pun.
There we go.
Yes.
Anyway,
right,
how's everybody doing?
So what's up? It's Thursday. That was an obnoxiously long intro that involved stuffed animals and plushies and bread.
My house is nothing but props for Hammered Out.
People are now
apparently.
blocking me. Syria and Oceania are the best hostages. What in the world is going on with that super chat? Is Ocean broke Ocean now? Broke. There we go. There's a way to make that a pun.
Jesus.
Anyway,
we are
Cyrus,
plenty warm by this fire.
You had a subject that you desperately wanted to talk about that I completely derailed last show.
Yes, and we are
my fault.
We are 10 minutes
and I
into
don't
it
take
this
any
show.
responsibility for it.
We are 10 minutes into it this show, which means it's definitely not going to break again.
It will not be derailed.
Correct.
This show, we will be focused the entire time. Except we haven't until now. But
correct.
There's always a time for, you know, I don't know what you fucking call it.
Bread? There's always a time for bread.
No.
There's always a time for it. Anyway,
we must repent. We must repent.
This is the first
I'm sorry
stream.
That we've been giving you nothing but tangents so far.
This is the first stream on this show. I did it over on Twitch, but I do want to ask everybody in the chat, what do you guys think of the current lighting setup in my office? This is lighting that I haven't used
think
before.
It looks pretty. I guess I'll say dope.
Dope.
I think it's dope AF. Motherfucker.
It is dope out of 10.
I think it looks good actually. You showed me the secrets behind it, how he's getting it done, and I'm like, all right, cool. Yes, this is a good fucking idea.
That is the most budgety.
To me.
That is the most budgety of budget solutions.
You know what? It is the budgetiest of budget solutions, but it looks better than your previous lighting system. I'm not gonna fucking lie.
Yeah.
It looks the soft lighting. It accentuates attractive features on your face.
Attractive features.
You look clandestine, my friend. You are an adorable YouTuber now.
Does this mean I should just like go to full breadtuber lighting where it's got purple shades and everything?
Is that what they do?
Apparently so.
I thought Vosh just let sun come in through his window.
Yeah, fair. There we go. Now we got. There we go. Now it's got the purple shades.
That's okay. So you can just change color at will.
Yes. In fact, actually, now the purple shades are on my face too.
Cirrus is now canceled.
I'm now canceled?
Because purple is the combination between red and blue, and that makes it a centrist color.
Oh. Enlightened centrism.
Yes.
10 out of 10.
Literally,
actually,
because it's purple light.
Unfortunately, like, I want, as much as I want to use this one, my brain is like, it looks like there's some green in it, so I just don't want to do that. So we're just gonna...
I like the blue.
Like the blue?
But my name is Ocean. I have blue lighting coming off my keyboard and my mouse.
So for anybody who wants to do this in your own room for shits and giggles, this is literally there. We are back to the blue. Is this what you wanted, Dad?
We're not going to get distracted this stream, guys. We're not going to get distracted at all. It will not happen. So
no, distractions do not happen.
Anybody who's just listening is going to be like, they're talking about lighting. I don't understand what they're saying. Blue, red, purple. What's happening? Anyway, So
basically, I got tired of being washed out on this and every other live stream show I did, so I finally said, fuck it.
you did look like you were being interrogated in every single live stream.
It also led to a lot of migraines, not gonna lie.
But yeah, if you just have that bright light, just
studio lighting slamming into your face.
And without, it didn't look any better than you just turning on a light in your room, honestly, at the end of the day. Like, it didn't.
Gainer, that is an awesome idea, and I don't know why I didn't think of that. Okay, guys, the rule is this.
Oh no.
There are 2 rules. 2 rules.
Oh,
if you super chat $5, the lighting changes to the color of your choice. And if you submit fan art, the lighting changes to the color of your choice. Minimum time 3 minutes. That way nobody.
So
gets
whatever Jack and Quill's preference is going to be
hey,
the majority time on there. Also, I just had fan art submitted to me.
What is going on? Why did you? Growlithe is now in here.
Growlithe is now in.
Growlithe is now in here.
Growlithe is now in here.
Okay. Growlithe.
So I'm gonna send you this this fan art that I received in DMs real quick. Hold on a second. I'm gonna send it. Well, can I send it to you on WhatsApp? What should I send it to you on?
Send it me on WhatsApp. Also, Jen has sent in the first $5. It is now red. The room is on fire.
Oh, okay. Of course, Jen chooses red. Of course.
Why are you guys holding the door? Why? I just want freedom.
There's the fan art.
Jesus Christ. Okay. That means the timer is now running on on that. We are now in red. The color of the stream will change dependent on the whims of the viewers.
More fire, red.
So now it's going to be 6 minutes of red. Okay.
It's going to be 6 minutes of red. Oh, you get to choose for 3 minutes.
Yes.
So Fire sent me the fan art that I just sent to you, and they want it to be blue.
They want it to be blue?
Yeah. So you're gonna have fun, Cirrus, keeping track of this.
I have no idea how I'm gonna do this.
You're gonna have fun.
Oh my god.
And not only that, but everybody in the audience and in the chat is going to hold you to it. You mark my words, there is somebody in the chat with a stopwatch, and if there isn't, there is now that I've said it. And they're going to be like, Cirrus is cheating us and freaking out and saying it's not fair. The color needs to be what I chose, but it's going to be red for 6 minutes. I don't know.
Okay, I figured out how I'm going to solve that problem.
Are you?
Yes.
Did you?
Over your face is now a sticky note.
Is now there's a sticky note over my face?
Yes. Look at the actual stream.
This is you can put that sticky note somewhere else. You know that, right?
But why would I want to actually see your face for an extended period of time?
Oh, that's fucking fair, though. Okay, all right. I see how it is. This means war.
This means war?
Are we going to talk about a subject on this stream, or are we just going to talk shit?
So, the real question, honestly, truly, is do you guys want us to talk about death?
Yes. But this is where I was like, okay. Cirrus wants to talk about death. There's a chance that this is going to just bring the entire mood of everything down. Let's have fun.
Also, the fan art got submitted, so it is now in there because the rules have hammered out. Now that I have both my monitors are back in place, when fan art is submitted on the show, up it goes.
And that was submitted by Fire.
Excellent.
So, and there's lots of fire emojis in the chat.
It's submitted by Fire, cleansed in fire, burned in fire.
Already. All right. So you want to talk about death? What's this bit about death? Give me the spiel, because we talked about it briefly. I was like, you're just gonna have to bounce this off of me on stream because I have no idea what you're talking about. So,
okay, so on both the right and the left, though to be fair, most of it is on the right. There's a bit of a problem, and that problem is that Gigi has been presented to me, apparently. This is a hyper political issue. Just hand her here. Just give her here. Hello, Gigi.
There's now a cat.
Hello, Gigi. How are you? Gigi
is a shoulder cat.
Yes.
Kind of like my cat. My cat's a shoulder cat as well.
She is very much a shoulder cat. She is here for the stream, and whatever topic we had to talk about now, she is here to judge us about it. And okay. All right. That
straight up made it comfy on your fucking shoulder.
That is going to make changing the lights very awkward. Okay.
Because if you put discomfort on the cat, it is now your fault.
Yes.
We're 20 minutes into the show.
Growlithe, sit. Sit, Growlithe. Good girl. Okay. So, the problem is that Aha! I did it. My hand is on the mouse successfully, but Growlithe is very upset. She does not like. Okay, so
I don't know what's happening over there.
The problem is that on both right and the
left... Cirrus, are you like on an arc?
Am I on an arc?
Is it raining a lot over there? Are you saving all the animals?
No.
It seems like are you a Disney princess? Like what's going on?
That one might be true. Have you checked the fan art section? That one might actually be true.
I have now spoken it into existence. Fan art of Cirrus as a Disney princess, surrounded by talking animals, and a cat on his shoulder needs to exist.
Okay. That said, so the actual Growlithe. Okay. She's only been alive 9 months. This actual, topic eludes her. Okay, can I open the door without getting rid of Gigi? Is that a thing I can do? Holy shit, I could, but now she is in front of the camera. And messing with the microphone. Okay.
It's some, Looney Tunes shit.
Jesus Christ, my animals are crazy. Okay, so, the actual topic, I've just tried to get into it multiple times. Everything is wrong and on fire, and that's why the lighting is red, because Jen and multiple people wanted it to be on fire. Snow White confirmed. God damn it. God damn it.
Welcome to Hammered Out. It's just Ocean and Cirrus shooting the shit for an hour and a half.
That said,
we're eventually going to talk about death.
Yes, and the actual topic of death, which the reason I want to talk about it, is there's an issue on both the right and the left, though it exists mostly on the right, to be fair. In how celebratory it is. There's this idea that when your political opponent dies, this is a good thing. Now, what is considered a political opponent can be anything, really. So, let's go ahead and take your standard conservative. Also, we are now changed to blue because we are on the fan art submission one, because I am keeping up with it, fuckers. The actual conversation ends up being that there are... Let's take an example. Do you know what happened with Summer Taylor, the BLM activist who got ran over on the highway in Seattle?
I did hear about that.
Okay, so when they were ran over, several comments... I did a video on this, and there's a lot of comments that I put in the video, but there's obviously much more. And there's now been a lot of those comments on my channel as well, of people just celebrating their death. Going, look at that. A liberal snowflake is gone. The world is that much more a better place. First of all, what kind of 14-year-old edgy shit is that? Secondly, have you noticed that before? Where, someone...
I've seen it a couple of times, but, usually in, in a passing, minority of posts. You know what I mean? It's... I don't see a whole bunch of it, but I also don't lurk the same spaces that you do.
Fair. I tend to sit around some of the more alt-righty spaces because that's kind of where I farm content from. So
it's I need to make a video. Let me just go hang out in this. Oh, God!
Let me just go sit on BitChute for a minute. Oh, yeah, everything's on fire here. Excellent. Okay. No,
Cirrus running into burning buildings in order to collect content for you.
Point is, though, is I've seen a lot of this celebrating when somebody gets ran over. when somebody gets killed in one of these situations. Like, there's a lot of celebration there, and I see a little bit of it, not anywhere near as much, because there's certainly not that death culty mindset as much on the left, although there's probably somebody on the right who's going to go, but they like abortion, they are a death cult. God. But if we ignore that...
Yeah, well, they like Jesus on the right, so, I mean,
which is literally the definition of a death cult.
Literally a death cult.
But I see a little bit of that where,
Not that they don't like Jesus on the left. Like, there's plenty of people on the left that love themselves some Jesus. But anyway.
Consider the fact that the way this manifests on the left a little bit is usually something along the lines of, you don't have to debate with Nazis, Nazis deserve death. That's like the extent that rhetoric works over here that I've heard. Or there's
Eat the rich.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's also the guillotine conversation, or rather, I'm sorry, there's also the conversation about if they really want to open up the barbershops that much during COVID, there are some very close haircuts that many people can get. That's the other version of that conversation.
References to Tim Burton films come up. Yeah.
So that otherizing, that kind of just the way it was just said in the chat by Hercules.
You got 2 requests for reds, by the way.
Yeah, I see that. In a minute, in 50 seconds, it transfers over to red again. It all becomes red.
Oh, man.
So I find that a little concerning, though, because to me, I don't view Nazi dies. I don't view that as like a good thing. And then obviously if an activist dies, I don't view that as a good thing. That's my side. I don't view that as a good thing, because what I view that as more so, and you can correct me on this or fight me on it, take your pick.
Fight!
I view that as, this isn't something to celebrate, this is something to lament. Like, this is a failure. Like, I find violence is a justified response to certain types of oppression, but I also find it as like, it's because peaceful things didn't work. Yeah, this is the point where communication broke down.
Like, I think that we glorify war and all that shit across the ages, but war is a failure of peace. So at the end of the day,
and that's kind of where I'm sitting with it right now. It bugs me, and it bugs me a lot when I see it on the right hand side, because like I expect it. I expect it over there a lot. And you get it in more ways than just that. Sometimes it's not strictly political. Sometimes it's religious. Now, granted, I know what episode you just put up on your channel, so there might not be as much of a distinction there sometimes. But
I think that the point of that video essentially is that your religion informs your politics to an extent, and I think that when you get it depends on kind of how you're looking at it. But I do think that after a point, there's not really much a way to separate it, and separating religion from your politics is political in and of itself anyway.
Yep. We also had a fan art submitted with bread in it, and that changes things to blue in 6 minutes.
There's a war between the artists and the super chatters right now.
Super chatters vote red. Artists
super chatters
vote
want
blue.
Red. Artists want blue. I'm on the side of the artists. I want more blue.
You want more blue?
Because my name is Ocean, and I like blue.
Fair enough. But I do find that war, or violence, is a failure in communication. There was obviously a message not heard, and now the only way that message could have been communicated anymore is violence. It's very weak way of breaking that down is when you tried to communicate to somebody not to hurt you, and they failed to hear that message and continued to hurt you, and then you struck them and possibly killed them, they refused to listen to you not wanting to be struck. So you struck back. That's how it generally works. But I don't find these things as things to celebrate. Like, you don't celebrate the riots. You can celebrate the fact that riots are happening, because that means there is a potential cultural shift that's going to be happening. But you don't celebrate the fact that violence is happening in general, because that means that there was a material world that created that, and that material world was a failure.
Right. I can see that.
But I see this, and I don't want to keep on having to make the distinction that I see this more on the right, because that is where I see this more. All things considered.
I think that people I don't know. There will be
It's red again.
Super
Slow
chat
boil
just
in
come
steam
up.
ocean.
It's funny. But we do see, like, again, through history, we see a glorification of war. People like winning, I guess.
Yeah.
And there, I think you see a lot of that kind of like glorification of war, again, more on the right than the left, I think. On the left, you see like the eat the rich conversation or revolutionary conversation and that kind of stuff. But it doesn't, we don't get that kind of thing happening very much in reality, whereas America has almost constantly been at war. And whenever we do see something inching towards revolution, the majority of people on the left, I think, do push back against there being any sort of like violence in those protests and that kind of thing. It's like we had the conversation a while ago about riots being the language of the unheard, and that looting seems to be the way that you get the cameras pointed at you.
Yeah, there was the cameras stopped rolling as soon as the violence stopped.
Right, as soon as the activists managed to get their shit together and got people to stop looting and got organized and were moving forward, and then the cameras stopped, and then someone was shot in Atlanta, and then riots started in Atlanta, and guess where the cameras went?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not necessarily as far as like right or left thing. I think the glorification of violence is a human thing. That because why did the cameras show up there? Because they knew people were gonna fucking watch.
Yeah, and that's
peaceful protests are boring TV. But when you see like a fire or something like that, and you position the camera, you got like this conflagration happening behind your journalist, then all of a sudden everybody wants to look at it.
Something interesting was happening there. But I think that comes down to what I said earlier, is that is a failure of the current material world again, because the conditions of, at this point, fucking
but we
humanity,
also feed it.
No, that's why I said the conditions of fucking humanity are
right.
that's what starts the conversation. Like, protests, as an example, the Andrew Jackson statue. You know the story behind that, right?
Andrew Jackson statue.
Statue got vandalized, and it was over.
There's been so many statue stories. Like I saw that Christopher Columbus got beheaded.
That was funny.
I saw that there was the Emancipation Memorial.
Lazy I am keeping track.
The Emancipation Memorial was going to be attacked.
I don't know was that the one with Lincoln?
Yes.
Yeah, that just needs to be burned down into fucking bronze coins.
I was like, when I first saw that, I was like, why are they getting mad about the Emancipation Memorial?
And then
I looked it up and looked into it, and I was like, oh. And then I looked into the origins of it, and I was like, oh.
We are back to 3 minutes of blue. But yeah, no, that one, like I saw the Lincoln statue being taken down. Everybody's like, don't people know that this was Lincoln? I'm like, yeah, I think they're well aware. But when you look at what the actual statue looks like, yeah, it's like the black business owner
who designed it, how it was paid for as well. It was paid for. So this particular statue, for anybody who wants to know, paid for by freemen, which ex-slaves, and then as a result, there was this pot of money, but they hired a designer who went in and created this thing with a kind of a prostrated slave before Lincoln being like bequeathed freedom. And
it was the white man's gift to give that.
Right. The design was controversial at the time, but it was decided that having a black man standing next to Lincoln in a suit and equal stature would have been too expensive. That's the reason why they didn't do that.
Bullshit.
And
anybody
a kneeling the statue that they made was cheaper.
So
Um,
anybody can tell you, one, if it's coming from the government, it's not necessarily infinite funds that exist, but funds can be allocated or appropriated. That's been the the
yeah,
state throughout history.
there was enough funding available. It was funded entirely by freedmen. So it was like a collective group of freed slaves had sent money in for this. So it was used that money was, you know, put forward by people who were expecting to be represented a certain way, and then they hired somebody who didn't know what they were doing in order to design it.
Yep.
So, you know, I when I looked into the history of it, I was like, okay, I can see why this statue would cause problems and it maybe needs to be replaced. Like, I think that we could afford to replace it.
Yeah. So, but the conversation that I was bringing up was about the statue of Andrew Jackson.
Yeah.
When that one was
to get back on topic, I'm sorry.
So, when that statue was taken down, was attacked, that happened because the statue itself. One, it's of Andrew Jackson. Like, there's guy's a dick. But the other thing,
you know.
the other thing is that statue, the city had actually agreed a year prior to put a plaque on the statue that would actually educate people on who Andrew Jackson was by showing, like, these are the things he did. It was not a great person. The statue is not here to glorify, which is, bullshit. Statues exist to glorify.
Statues are glorification at the end of the day.
But, and that was the
don't put
compromise.
an asterisk on your glorification. This guy was awesome. Asterisk.
Yeah, that was the
really,
compromise that they reached. We are at 6 minutes of red now. The compromise that was reached was that they would put the plaque on there instead of removing the statue, and the city said fine, and then they just never put the fucking plaque on there. They had like 8 fucking months to do it. It was agreed on in 2019. They tried to cite that COVID was the reason they couldn't put the plaque on it. Now, I don't know if you've ever known a stonemason, but a single stonemason can work on a plaque like that for a few weeks, get it done, especially if you're doing it cheaply, and
labor like that's not cheap, honestly.
Well,
but yes, it could be done.
The point is, though, is that it can be done. It can be done efficiently, and it can be done quickly, if need be.
Right. And if it's a plaque, isn't it a metal press anyway?
Hey, now you're thinking with us portals. But the plaque was never put on. And the city tried to say, well, COVID, even though this happened months before COVID, but, COVID. And the people in the city basically said, yeah, fuck that, the statue's going down. Break it. Goodbye. No. I don't remember.
They destroyed it?
The Andrew Jackson one, it was not destroyed as much as it was defaced and vandalized. But it was not yet destroyed, though I believe the city has since agreed that they are going to take it down now, because obviously the environment is no longer good for keeping up the statue of Proto-Hitler in there. But point being,
Proto-Hitler, is that you're talking about Andrew Jackson?
Well, to be fair, a lot of the early leaders in the nation, all things considered, like, the only thing that was unique about Hitler was that it was in a more modern time where everybody was like, oh no, that's a bad thing, we know that now.
Except, well, okay, yeah, they're like,
imperialism lasted for a long time with the UK.
It did,
and it did a lot of similar things.
Yeah.
That's my point there. It's not that people suddenly went, killing is bad. No, it's that the cultural environment allowed there to be a global response to this now, as opposed to what
that's true. I would say
before.
I agree with you there.
But how this relates there is
invading countries was in vogue for quite some time in Europe. So it's like,
Yes, this is true.
Yep.
This is true. Also, I see. Okay, we now have a 3 minutes of green. We're not going into it yet. That's just the next art that was put in. And then blue. 3 minutes of blue for Catgirl Ocean.
There's another Catgirl Ocean? Hold on a minute.
Okay, we're going to have to start putting these on the other side. And, yep, Catgirl Ocean holding bread. It's even got your beanie.
That's amazing.
There we go. Now
How am I a cat girl with a beanie? Oh my god. Damn it, sirs. Why? That's amazing. That's fantastic.
You've got to change your profile picture again.
Just when you thought it was safe.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back on the internet. No, but there was a point I was trying to bring up with the Andrew statue. Andrew statue.
Yeah. So,
but I don't.
Andrew statue Jackson.
I do not. I know someone super chatted for purple. I have it on the queue. It is right up in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. I have it.
Lazy is one of those people that's watching with the stopwatch. So just saying.
I can tell. Yep. Jeebus. But so what you'll get though is that you've got a lot of people who will see the people who vandalize those statues.
I just saw in the chat. I want Catgirl Ocean and Catgirl Cirrus Yuri.
Safe for work, of course. Okay, yeah, of course you do. I believe you. Don't worry.
I believe that wholeheartedly. Somebody's being horny in chat. Anyway, so go on. Andrew Jackson.
So what you seem to get though is that these people, not the people who vandalize the statue, but there are people who will see the people who vandalize the statue, and regardless of the reason behind the vandalization, will go, nope, those people, if they get shot, that's their business. Sucks to be them. They get killed, and you know what? That'll be better because there'll be less vandals. And...
Yeah, it's kind of like the people that are like, when there is, what is it? The people that are pro defund the police.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the people that respond to that with like, well, as soon as we defund the police, something along the lines of like, I hope no one comes for you in an emergency.
The worst part is that there are actually police officers who think that. And I'm like, I feel like if a police officer says that, then
they should be taken off the force.
That's them being taken off the force. That's like,
yeah, that makes sense to me, but it's nearly impossible to fire a cop.
Well, so there's a fun conversation that was had. You remember Catholic Fusionist, right? The guy I had the abortion debate with a long time ago on Non Sequitur. Conversation we had on Facebook a little while ago.
Wait, is this the same guy that I got into it with?
Maybe.
On the Trinity?
No, Trinity.
This is the guy I keep confusing with Catholic Fusionists.
Yes. And he made a post on Facebook that was like,
Pragmatic Culture was the other guy or something.
He was like, leftist friends of mine, what would you say if I told you that I had found a union you would want to bust? And I was like, yeah, basically, we are now in the stage of 3 minutes of purple. The compromise has been reached. We are in 3 minutes of purple. And I actually, the more I look into that, the more I realize that, come to think of it, that makes sense because police unions are not pro-labor force because your police generally end up interacting mostly against your labor force, and then your unions protects the police who does that. Hierarchically, this is not like labor representation.
Right.
So anyway, it was an interesting conversation from there where I was like, yeah, there is a union.
Something legal mafia, what?
Basically. Like and for somebody, if anybody wants to freak out in the chat, like here's the thing. The argument is this: defund the police and also make sure that there is a better form of law enforcement in place that does not have the current legal protections of the police. Yeah,
we talked about that with the activists in Atlanta.
Yes.
Where we're talking about how like the thing that you the argument you put forward that was in favor of abolition, I thought was a good one, because if you call it, part of the process needs to be calling it something other than police so that the Supreme Court ruling doesn't apply to it with respect to protection of property. Correct.
Because one, the Supreme Court says, they don't have to actually protect people.
This is a tangent, though.
But this is a tangent, but remember, on the...
I want to just double check.
On the celebration of death...
Right.
There are the people who will go, hey, if the police are gone, I hope that...
Yeah, I hope you die.
I hope you get the rape and nobody comes to save you. And I'm like, well, wait. Why though? Like, let's ignore the fact that you don't want somebody to come to save me, and just talk about the fact real quick that you just said to me that you want something horrible to happen to me. Now, I get death threats all the time in my comment section. Like, I'm no stranger to that. But wanting someone like that to die versus wanting them to be convinced is weird to me. Like, take a figure like Hunter Avalon, right? This guy was for years doing the whole like right-wing apologetics, constantly making fun of SJWs, feminism, and he still does a little bit of that. But if you look at the way he did stuff before, it was through convincing and conversing, not aiming a gun, that he actually started going, wait, the right wing fucking sucks, and started arguing against right-wing propaganda instead of arguing against left-wing shit all the time. Which, especially considering he's like a 600,000 subscriber YouTube channel, like, that affects conversation going forward for a lot of people. You don't, if you suddenly kill someone, and maybe this is a bad argument because, like, the person I was going to bring up is like a Richard Spencer type of deal, where, like, I'm not 100% certain you could really convince Richard Spencer away from his positions. I don't think you could. But not everybody is that. Not everybody is so thoroughly ingrained and unconvincible as a Richard Spencer.
Right. No, like, are you going to convince somebody like Richard Spencer? Probably not. There are some people, I think, that have become so publicly invested in their opinion as identity that it becomes more difficult to convince them based on that.
We are now in green.
Does that make sense? Now we're in Greenland.
We are now in Greenland. The green doesn't actually show up that much. What the fuck?
Ha!
That's weird.
Whoever wanted green has been gypped.
But it's strange to me when I see people on my side, I guess, literally celebrating, like, it's good that this person died. Well, like, no, it's not. Like, this person needed to be convinced, because this person needed to be able to be either a voice for a better side, or we have to accept the fact that killing them didn't actually solve much, because there was a material condition that was met that led them down that path in the first place. What can we do to solve that?
I've done, flipping against people in the alt-right and all that kind of shit before, and it's a process, sometimes a long process, but
it's usually a long process.
It's a process. And they got to realize shit on their own often enough, but
like, a lot of times the weird thing about even having those conversations with people is a lot of times they don't even know that they're being propagandized to. And, like, if you have somebody at that where their biggest sin,
it's like the pipeline or whatever.
I have a family member. I'm not going to name who, but I have a family member who had been posting for weeks stuff from Charlie Kirk, stuff from Turning Point USA, stuff from Ben Shapiro, just over and over again. This is somebody who I've known as, like, fairly reasonable most of my life. So I ended up confronting them after a while, and I was like, so I have a question. Why are you posting all this, like, right-wing propaganda non-critically? Like,
Did they just go Q?
Like, the last thing that they posted was something about, it was this black guy. He was the grandfather of a kid who got shot in, like, a three-way gang type of deal that happened, and it was presented by Charlie Kirk through Turning Point USA as his message for Black Lives Matter. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Let me go look and see what actually happened in this story. Turns out it had nothing to do with BLM at all. Like, nothing at all to do with it. It was literally just his family member got killed recently in a bout of effectively gang violence, and Turning Point USA decided that they would use this to propagandize against BLM and shout not white lives matter, all lives matter. Same difference, really.
Or kind of a what about black
on black? That basically what that boiled down to. Like, y'all guys say Black Lives Matter, but what about black on black crime? And it's That was the one.
A weird way to phrase an objection. Either way, anyway. So, yeah,
that one made me. That was the one that made me actually contact them and go, "Hey, why are you doing this? Like, what is the reason?" And it was a series of deflections. I have the messages, but I'm not going to show them here because that would be, that's not apropos.
Yeah.
But the conversation basically broke down as, why are you doing this? Well, I'm not saying an opinion or anything. Okay, but you're literally, like, passing out flyers. That's what you're doing. It's like saying, I don't agree with Nazis, but I am passing out copies of Mein Kampf just, for people to read. Just for some reading. Just some reading. That's all. That's all it is. I don't actually have an opinion here. I'm just passing out for some reading. I don't think that position's tenable. I don't.
Just passing it out for some reading.
That's the argument I was given.
What he was saying is he was just giving.
Yes. I can send you the screenshot.
Once you broke through that meme exterior, what did you get to?
So let me first change this to blue. Because that is the thing that I must do. We have 3 minutes of blue now. Okay. So, I will pull up... I will not pull it up in order to show, but I will make sure that I am representing the conversation as accurately as possible. So, I said, from the beginning, I've got to ask, what is with all the anti-BLM posts, and why do you keep parroting far-right-wing sources almost non-critically? Just saw the post about the killing of Davin McNeil. Have you read into it yet? They go, there's no wrong or right answer right now. I just wish people would look at all sides. I said, right, and I've looked into Turning Point USA. Firstly, linked the news article about the killing. The shooting, nothing to do with BLM. Why is it being used for that narrative? And then I linked... stuff on Turning Point USA and said, well, by digging into Turning Point USA, that question answers itself. They go, I'm not using it for the narrative, others are. I said, correct, but you're parroting those others. I haven't said a word, have I? I only posted a video with no comments. Yes, but spreading information is still an action, is it not? So is assuming something about me without any evidence.
Oh, no.
I've not assumed. I've reposted a video and I saw with 0 comments. Well, I said, well, I'm using the evidence of the constant right-wing reposts in order to conclude that you may not be verifying the information critically, and so I've come to ask why. That is not an assumption, that is a deduction. So finally, after breaking through the meme shield...
Let's note here right now, guys, Surus will pull out philosophy on you. Even on family.
Finally breaks through into, because I'm sick of leftist entitled bullshit.
Okay, now we've reached the real reason.
So I said, okay, let's start with, I am a leftist. Now, what entitled bullshit are you holding issue with? They responded to...
I am here as the ambassador of all of leftism. And I would like to be informed of the bullshit that you are tired of. Please inform me.
So they responded to the deduction part where they said it's a deduction, but one from inference without enough evidence to draw a trustworthy conclusion, which is a goalpost move. They said it was an assumption, and then they said, well, no, it is a deduction, but it's one from inference without evidence. Wait, hold on. If it's a deduction, there is evidence.
No, the inference...
It's word
How did they agree it was a deduction and then say there wasn't... Okay, anyway, sorry. If they know the way around those terms, probably not as well as you do. Most people don't.
I said...
Like, let's just be fucking fair. Like, people say, yeah, it's a deduction, not knowing what a deduction is, but you didn't use evidence. Wait, that's what a deduction is. I don't... Words,
So I said, well, so I'm here talking to you about it and asking. To which they said, sorry, I'm in the middle of doing homework right now, and I have to take care of so-and-so. Don't want to dox anybody.
I'm out of my element. I'm fucking off.
So I don't have the luxury of time for a debate right now. Maybe later.
Yep.
Love you. So just like, okay, that's the conversation. It's shit like that. It gets under my skin, but it is the parroting of those posts constantly. We are also going to 3 minutes of red now.
Someone says they want me doing that voice throughout the entire stream.
We never did our Jordan Peterson, Alex Jones stream. Do you remember that plan?
Oh God, that would have been a terrible idea. Why would we have done that?
But during the course of everything that's been going on, I've been seeing that people who parrot a lot of that stuff generally also, I'm not saying my family member does this, but generally also end up being the ones who kind of celebrate that death again. Because, like, I'm tired of entitled leftists. Okay, what do you think should happen to those entitled leftists? Should they sit the fuck down? Should they stop talking? Which, you know, fuck freedom of speech, I guess. I thought you guys liked that. We also have a Snow White Cirrus with Gigi submitted by Turning Tide Studios. And what is the color? What is the color from that one? Tide, you did not give me a color. Send me a color for that one. So it's
the color I would like is Roy G. Biv.
But I personally, and now granted there's a bias here because this is my family member, but I don't want this person dead. I want to convince them that the argument they're making is bad, right, and the conditions that result from accepting that argument are materially worse than the current state of affairs.
So, Cyrus, are you basically saying that wishing death on people is bad?
In 99.9% of circumstances.
What's the percentage of circumstances have to do with it? Is that an appeal to popularity, Cyrus?
No, I'm saying there's.
I'm
saying I can conceive of some exceptions where death can be celebrated.
Oh,
like Hitler. I can celebrate that death.
I feel you.
That's
okay. God damn it.
Like, like I can conceive of a.
You raise a good point, my friend.
Which is why I say, like, most of the time, I think we should be working to convince people, not to.
Like we celebrated Bin Laden's death, for example. You know.
Yeah.
It was right.
I do like the solution that Kai Woofy proposes in the chat, though.
Cyrus, if we can convince them, why not force? What the fuck?
That is a meme. That is a meme called "Force Feminize Nazis." Because they generally like root everything in super hyper masculinity.
Oh my god.
So it becomes force feminized Nazis.
Oh wow.
And
you can make them watch that hypno porn that Hassan was bitching about.
The hypno porn that definitely exists. Also, it has been declared by Jack and Quill, as per the next fan art, that purple is the color, because of course it is. You guys have been watching me play League of Legends too much. No. Bad. Do not watch me play League of Legends. That tasted purple. And I still do not... the character in League of Legends that I play most of the time, Lulu, her story is that she was, like, tricked by the Fae into, like, when she was a child, into going into the woods, and 700 years later she came out of the woods completely fucking insane. So she'll go and, like, walk around and say, that tasted purple. That squirrel looks familiar. Like, just random fucking off-the-wall shit.
What character is this?
Lulu. Just look up Lulu League of Legends.
I remember seeing Lulu.
We are now at 3 minutes of blue.
It's the late 20 teens version of I'm So Random. That's what it seems like.
We are now in blue.
Yay.
10 out of 10. But that said, I'm upset when I see comments like that from my side. I'm not as upset, oddly, when I see comments like that from the right wing, because I just kind of accept that that's the thing. Like, if you look at Christianity, the way it is built, how do you see your savior? Death. When are you going to see all the family that loves you? When you die. Okay, well, when do we get all the rewards for being a good person? When you die. Oh, okay. So what happens when Jesus comes back? Everyone dies. Oh, okay. So this is all just about fucking death, right? All of this. It's just death. That's what it is. And
everything is death.
Which segues me into the other thing of a lot of comments I've gotten where people go, and you've probably heard this 1,000 times.
Let's hear it.
You may say that right now, But wait until you're feeling the flames of hell, boy.
I've gotten that before a couple of times.
It's almost like
that happened a lot in college.
The default is just celebrating death. Also, there is a super chat.
This is one of the.
Oh, go on.
This is one of the things that I got in college that made me get to the position of like, it is not impossible but very difficult to be friends with a Christian, and the reason is because they think you're going to hell, and they think that you deserve to go to hell. And so, there's exceptions. Obviously, some Christians don't think that way, but they'll say they don't want you to, but that if God sends you to hell, then that was the righteous thing to do.
Or they'll say that it was unfortunate.
It's hard to be friends with somebody who thinks that you should righteously be sent to eternal torment.
That is true.
Speaking of glorification of death, that's glorification of like afterlife Holocaust, in my opinion. So, it's all the people who disagree with my particular theology will be burned for all eternity. And I think this is a similar dynamic. Maybe
it's
a lot of what we're talking about is latent Christianity. Yeah.
So many fan arts are being submitted with their color options. This one is red.
Oh no. Are we going to have enough stream?
Ocean, we haven't actually had this much fan art in a long time.
Holy fuck.
We're gonna have a hard time fitting everything in.
Did you put a little carrot in front of the fan art? Okay, the tiniest of carrots. You get to pick the color light, and all of a sudden we're getting super chats and fan art in like crazy.
And now
we
have to go to red now. 3 minutes of red, everybody.
Like seriously, I feel like what's that fucking SpongeBob meme where it's like, you put hammered out on the table and there's like this little crowd and you like pick the color of the light and all of a sudden this giant crowd fucking come in and it's like, oh god, we gotta pick the color of the light. Please keep doing this, audience. It's great. Chat, just light it up.
Help.
Send in all the fan art. It makes us go crazy. Let me take a look at the new fan art. What's going on here? Is it in the Discord?
Yes. I have also just told Tide I need a color. While you are checking on that, I do have one super chat that was not strictly. Well, I'll go through the super chats real quick.
I love this cute anime you with the bread on your fucking hat.
I know, right?
It's also a cat.
It's
Chance.
Breb cat.
That's fucking amazing.
So in order of the super chats, we've got Fire from Thoughtless Skills. $5, $2 from Jen Aldrich. This background pleases Mother Dragon. Sag Leeson for $2. Syria and Oceana, best hostages for Hamas out shower. Jen with the $5. Red, I want everything on fire. Of course you do. What the Craft for $5. More fire. Red. $5 from Eliakai. The Greek phalanx brings sacrifices of red fire. Let there be red. Of course, because super chats just make things red, and then artists make things blue
Everything
and green
is
and
red.
purple. Princess Sicaria, more hellfire.
Artists like more colors than super chatters. That's what I'm saying.
Or it shall be red. Jen Aldrich, $5. Red, slow boil and steam ocean. Too lazy for this, $9.99. Just to mix things up, I went purple. The only reason that I'm not doing it as like every $5 you get to control the light for longer is because I feel like that. God, this is going to be a really fucking leftist take. That I feel like that just makes it to where people who have more means have more control. Damn it. Everything comes back to bread.
But you are letting... if the way around that, chat, is to send in multiple super chats.
Oh, no. God damn it.
Because he has awarded multiple extensions of the color to... the people who have sent it in twice. Therefore, Sully just sent in, I'm a Quaker, have $5. Sully, do you have a color that you wish to add?
I do have to get to Leah Bryant's real quick. Which is Cirrus and Ocean, do you think ethical capitalism is possible? I had a long debate during Leah Kai's premiere live chat earlier and wanted y'all's opinion.
I've had too many conversations about this.
Too many conversations about this?
Too many conversations about this. I'm a history major, or I was a history major. I learned about the Gilded Age. I know that unbridled capitalism brings in completely unethical consumption. The death is topic, Ocean.
We are now at 3
do not
minutes
discuss.
of purple.
There's death. Everybody's saying don't do it. It's where the topic is death right now. But capitalism is on topic in that sense.
Leads to death.
It doesn't need to. It causes anyway. So, depends on what you mean by ethical. Like it really gets down to that.
But Ocean, I'm of the opinion that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
I know.
It is also my argument against unrestricted veganism.
If you change your definition of ethical, then you can make it ethical. It just depends on kind of how you're going to structure it.
Yeah, if you restructure it to the libertarian contractual idea that's completely bullshit, sure.
Right. No, if like but that is an ethical structure. If
we accept that enough people could accept it as an ethical structure.
Okay.
It is an ethical structure only under the subjective nature of personal ethics. Yes. Do I find it ethical personally? No, fucking not.
Right. So according to your ethical structure, which makes it so there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. However, if you have a different ethical construction, then yes, there can be ethical consumption under capitalism.
If we define
assuming you have different ethics. So,
assuming you have the ethics of the aristocracy and monarchy, then yes, of course, it is perfectly ethical.
Assuming you have the ethics of a capitalist,
because the proletariat deserve to be where they are. Because in a true meritocracy, if the proletariat actually deserved to be anywhere else, they would already be there. Because that's how a true meritocracy functions.
If you repeatedly say things that have the words bootstraps in them, you can probably ethically consume under capitalism.
But
what the craft says, death is the topic, red is the color.
God damn. I have a queue. I have a queue now. Purple, red, blue, red, pink, red. Oh God, I
you need to set up an app that changes that you can just input these things on 3-minute timers.
I wish you know what? I wish I could. I don't think that's a thing I can do with this current setup. I am controlling everything from my phone.
Set up a Rube Goldberg machine.
A Rube Goldberg machine?
Yeah, and just every time you need to change the color, you just push a marble down a fucking pin.
God damn it.
Down a track.
$10 from Frustrated Atheist. Ocean likes to watch me undress. This is fact. I want to know why you all hate Jesus this much. And I would like the color to be black, like my soul and like death.
He just wants you to turn the goddamn lights off.
That's what... Yeah, do you know what the color of light in black is? It's just the lights are off.
It is either all the lights on or all the lights off, depending on your definition of color theory. If your lights were just paint, then...
then it'd be fine.
Then it would be all of it. But instead, your lights are not a pigment.
Autobot Starscream says, we must consume to live... how do we continue to exist ethically if all consumption is unethical? So here's the thing: all consumption can be considered unethical under a particular setup.
You are unethical if you eat.
Like, consider the fact that the
for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of communism.
God damn it. We are now going to red again because that is the color of communism. No, but consider the fact that it is not unethical to consume. However, the method in which items are gotten under a particular system can be considered unethical. Like, it is not unethical for me personally to buy a computer, but the computer itself is made... Are you okay, Ocean? I have swapped...
I'm counting down until you start bringing up the labor theory of value.
But... It's not even labor theory of value actually for this one. There's rare minerals that are used in the creating of the individual parts for silicon motherboards that are actually farmed via sweatshop labor in like caves and shit. Like the way in which those parts are appropriated is completely
and the reason why that
bad.
is abusive is
God damn it, Ocean! God damn it! It is abusive because it is basically slavery.
Labor theory of value is about to come up.
Oh, god damn it. Adam Smith is just sitting there like, stop. But, point being, while it is not unethical for me to simply purchase a computer, the material environment that created the ability for me to have this computer is an unethical material environment. Like, full stop.
Which means, if you have the equipment to stream, you support slavery.
Through the principle of entailment, yes, actually.
I think I've seen a couple of people actually talk about this, where it's like, we making that if you're going to be on the internet making a big deal about this, you're also culpable because you have a computer.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like you are partially responsible for the unethical treatment of sweatshop laborers in China whenever you buy Nike shoes, as an example. You are partially responsible for the suffering of animals whenever you buy a slab of meat that has been pulled from a factory farm. Cool. Now, the thing is, though, if we accept, though, that existence itself...
Joke's on you, I'm poor as shit.
if we accept the fact, though, that these material conditions are unavoidable, we can then continue on. It's whenever we try to convince ourselves that these things are unavoidable. What we can do is be more ethical. We can try to be more ethical, create material conditions for animals that are not completely suffering, making sure that their existence before becoming food is much better. Improve the conditions for laborers who are actually mining the minerals that lead us to being able to have computers and disposable fuel. You can make those things more ethical, but can you make them pure? Probably not. All things considered, probably not.
Steal shit.
Be gay, do crime?
Be gay, do crime. Nice.
Okay, that's the... Also, we are now at 3 minutes of blue.
My eyes are pleased.
I am keeping track.
Everybody in there with the time watches can be like, Cyrus is off by 10 seconds.
Probably. Leah Bryant does say with a $2 super chat, I believe in ethical capitalism in a meritocracy. So I can agree that capitalism can be ethical in a pure meritocracy. Now, the problem is, do I believe that a pure meritocracy is possible with capitalism in tow? No. Do I believe a pure meritocracy is possible? No. Do I think we should strive for a pure meritocracy? Yes. Do I think we should strive for a more socialized system? Yes. Hell, do I think we should strive for a stateless, classless society? Yes. Do I think we'll ever achieve it? Probably not, and definitely not in my lifetime, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. Fucking, J.R. Tolkien actually talked about this a long time ago. The concept is called the long defeat. The long defeat is accepting that in the long run you will lose. It does not mean that you should not do everything in your power to win in the meantime.
Right.
That is the ethical thing is the actual fight itself.
Look at the fan art of me that just appeared in your server.
Also, one person did just say, or Riley had said, where does this leave the disabled? So I'm going to go ahead and say something very communist. It is from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. If your ability is severely limited, then that is fine. That should not impede the ability for you to get what you need. I find that to be an ethical framework. You can have a meritocracy where people can get more than what they need through doing the things that they can do through merit. But what you need as your baseline. So for somebody who is disabled, the things needed to help them cope with their disability, the things needed for them to be able to exist in society in an egalitarian way with everybody else, and also the basic commodities that everybody needs, which are food, water, shelter, etc. Those things should be provided for in general, regardless. So where does it leave them? In my ideal society, it doesn't leave them. It pushes them as forward as they possibly can go. Also, that ocean
Seems
looks
reasonable.
like Cthulhu.
Yeah, it's the Cthulhu.
And we have...
And dude, look at the flounder that's next to it.
Hold on. I have to type in more blue. We have another blue. What is this next one?
This is red.
3 minutes black, 3 minutes blue. Fucking
We're not
hell.
going to get to all the colors.
This is a massive problem. I hate this. Like, this is a good thing, but I also hate this.
You need to up the price. Supply and demand. It's a capitalist thing.
God damn it. No, we don't do that. The proletariat does not deserve to be exploited in that way.
Then you should make it a penny.
You should make it a penny. This is a meritocracy. They do not need a light color, but if they want a light color. Here we go. Boom, boom. And now we have the little flounder bread next to Cthulhu Ocean.
Yes. Isn't that fucking amazing?
Okay, you're going over there.
Flounder is a loaf of bread. Like
under the sea. Do I agree with Lenin's principle, he who does not work, neither shall he eat? No, I do not agree with that principle at all. I find that a principle abhorrent.
Oh.
Not everybody can work. Not everybody can. As a result, if you cannot work, then you should still be able to eat, because I believe food is a human right.
That would be, like, anti-Marxist, wouldn't it?
But Marxist-Leninists exist.
Oh.
MLs exist. Like, this contradiction is known. But no, that particular material condition.
Like, all the philosophical communists that I know are just like Marxists.
Yeah.
Like, some of them wind up being Stalinists, though. But usually
usually if you studied fucking philosophy, you look at a statement like that and go, that's bullshit.
Right, of course. But I'm talking about when the disagreement between Leninists and Stalinists comes up, it's usually a difference between communism in one country and communism in all countries.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that distinction?
That particular distinction I'm not super familiar with, but I can see, like...
I'll break it down basically.
Okay.
The idea of communism in one country which is the Stalinist view, which is what we had historically, which is that you build up one communist country that's very strong, and then the influence of communism spreads by that example. Communism in all countries was Lenin's idea, which was to have communist revolutions all over the world at the same time, and everybody builds communism together.
Okay, one of those sounds like a fairy tale. And it's definitely
Which
Lenin's.
one?
So
because Stalin's was the one that was the worst idea in practice.
Stalin's was the worst idea in practice, but that's because it could actually be practiced through authoritarianism. Whereas
here's what.
Oh, go on.
We're getting distracted from the topic, but
actually, a lot of people died in these conditions, so we actually not.
Then we can discuss any period of history we want to.
Excellent, you're getting it.
Communism in all countries there was a struggle between Stalin and Trotsky, and as to who was going to be Lenin's successor. It was a number of issues, because you also had like the cutthroat element of Russian politics that extends through its history. That how Stalin actually rose was extremely violent, but and before we get into, there's a difference between what Russia did as communism and what communism is. Very different things. But the Stalinist would say you can build this giant example and then spread that influence, and that's largely what was attempted. The idea of Lenin was to, in the same way that he subverted Russian politics, because he was put on a train by the Germans in World War I to start a revolution in World War I to start a revolution in Russia, so that Germany would be fighting on one front instead of two. And by the time the revolution was actually completed and the provisional government was put in place that ended the Tsar, World War I was over. So it was like once it became a point where it was sort of effective, World War I was done and things were changing.
The conditions
Russia
were
lost
over.
a lot of land, right? And then that's one of the reasons why later Stalin was trying to make deals with Hitler in order to get more of what old Russia's land was back. So all of that aside, to continue this history lesson, Lenin was bussed in on a train, started a revolution. And he wanted to have that happen in multiple countries across the world and say, it worked here. And this is one of the most cutthroat political environments in the world. And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
So it should work elsewhere as well. And the idea was to subvert capitalist structure in as many countries as possible and replace it with communist revolutions, inspire those revolutions and make them happen. And we were seeing this coming up on World War II. You did see communist movements.
That's when anarcho-syndicalism like actually existed in a couple countries.
Right. It was taking off, but then you had this. Lenin died. And then there was the struggle between Stalin and Trotsky lost the struggle, and Stalin won. And then the strategy changed into Stalin's 5-year plans. I know a lot about Russian history. I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's informative. It gave me time to eat a couple Tic Tacs.
There you go.
Why are these?
Now everybody's informed.
I swear there's crack in these.
Maybe there is.
So the problem that I find with Lenin's way of doing that, obviously there's certain arguments from Lenin that I don't like if he cannot work, he cannot eat. That's bullshit.
Sure.
But the problem with expecting that revolution everywhere is that the material conditions of every nationalized economic society are different. They might all be exploited, but some might not be so exploited that they actually think that anything needs to change. Look at the conversation where BLM is concerned in the United States right now. Also, we are switching to pink for some minutes.
Someone's pointing out in the chat that there was some other subtleties issues. My narrative was definitely oversimplified, but it was also less than 6 hours. So
true.
I mean, there's a lot of subtleties to discuss in the narrative that I just put forward. But yes.
So my point being, where all these different countries are concerned, not all of them are going to even feel that they are legitimately impressed. And we're even seeing this materialize now with BLM. There are plenty of people who are African American in the United States that do not actually feel like the conditions in the United States are against them, even if statistically and systematically they are, and we can measure and verify these things. They still will deny that. Hell, we have people who deny COVID even exists, even though that's verified. So,
dude, friend of mine in Brazil keeps sending me messages. There's still denialists over there.
So, like,
to this day, like, is I don't know. And Bolsonaro has it. But here's a funny thing about that is that there's people in Brazil saying, well, he's probably just faking that he has it so that he can become cured immediately and say that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that.
There's a question in Brazil as to whether or not him saying that he has it is actually a thing, because it might be just him farsing that he has it so that he can come out with saying, I've been cured, it's nothing, you know.
So it's because of that I think that the idea of having this happen all around the world at the same time, through multiple revolutions all at the same time, I think it's a bit of a fairy tale. I don't see that materializing because the economic conditions in every area are so fundamentally different.
Right.
With
Russia, it was in the middle of wartime. The Tsar was at its weakest point.
And that's a good environment for revolution, but a complacent society with a functional middle class, which, is kind of disappearing in the United States. But a complacent society with a functional middle class, that's not really the material conditions to bring in communism. It's not going to work that way. You need to have the proletariat rise up in order to create those conditions. If the proletariat is complacent, you don't have a revolution. That's how that works.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're seeing with respect to Black Lives Matter as well, I think.
Yes.
Because, what happens is, protesting becomes like a fad for a little while.
Everybody sees it, and then suddenly it's out of vogue.
And then before you can see it through, and we're already seeing this, that, like, as the conversation starts to be, like, on its way out, so to speak, and it's before any meaningful legislation has been made, then suddenly the strength that you have of the pressure in order to follow through on the subject starts getting lifted. And politicians damn well know this, where they can seize on the capital, the political capital of acting while the protesters are doing something and get the praise, or they can wait it out until nobody cares anymore and the subject of the day is something else. And this is something that we regularly do because our society is largely complacent.
Not only is it largely complacent, as we've seen in the environment on YouTube, there is also a type of capital where it comes to attention. Attention capital is a thing. Like, we were talking about this earlier in the beginning of the show. Whenever the newsreels start going, if they're not on fires and burning buildings,
correct,
the attention capital isn't there. Who cares?
This relates somewhat to glorifying death now, so we're almost back on topic.
Yes, because there are people who see those who see those people who are burning down those buildings and go, ah, yes, perfect, an excuse to run them over with my truck. Which I friggin' so many conversations I've had on Facebook about this, because Facebook is a fucking cesspool. You left at a good time.
I did,
but one of the conversations that was had on there was about how in New York there are actually some pro-police protests that are blocking highways right now. And suddenly, there's just people not talking about it. As if blocking highways for a protest is only bad when it's in support of, marginalized people. But as soon as it's in support of the boots that are crushing down your throats, that's good. That's good. I love the taste of leather. And one of my friends posted on Facebook about this, and then one of their friends, so a mutual, said, "I don't care who you are or what your politics are. If you get in the way of where I need to go, I will run you over." So I just snarkily commented, "I remember one time thinking that point B on Google Maps was more important than human life." And that kind of shit concerns
I think that being
me.
in a car depersonalizes other people, though. This is something nobody talks about this, but like when you're driving down the road and everybody else is obscured by the vehicle, they're not people, they're vehicles. But then it gets weird though when you're talking about somebody who's like walking in the street, and it's almost like your agenda of I'm going in one direction, this person is in the way. Suddenly, it's like you don't know the person over there, so they're just a faceless. And there's a depersonalization that happens, and some people will take it to the point of, I'll hit the gas, because you're in my way, kind of shit, which we saw on videos of police cars doing several times. It's just over the
truckers,
fucking top.
or anything. And then people go, "Well, if you play in the street, you deserve to get hit." What? So somebody crossing the road deserves to get hit just because they didn't happen to use the mandated crosswalk area.
The crosswalk.
They deserve to get hit now because they were playing in the street, right? That's what that argument looks like to me. And they'll go, "No, not that one." And then I realize that, oh yeah, this guy's never actually been in a debate before, so I can't just say you're special pleading and they understand what the fuck I'm saying.
I had to explain special pleading to some people yesterday, because it's not something that's just easily. I had to wrap my mind around it for a while, and I had debated for a long time. By the time I finally did, it's not like a lot of these fallacies aren't the easiest things to be like, oh, right, that is stupid.
Everything is now black, as per Russ and his donation to turn the lights off.
Just turn everything fucking off.
Everything except the lights in front of my face.
Nope, gotta turn it off.
Gotta turn those off too. Okay,
yep.
Well, now I got the screen's lights.
Darkness. You have to turn off your screens too.
Here we go. We are now doing the show, and I cannot see shit.
Everybody, I have successfully trolled Cirrus.
Please tell me when 3 minutes are up. It's scary in here.
No. No, I won't.
Then I'm at least turning one of these monitors on.
No, you're not.
God damn it.
That would break the rules. You have been paid for this.
No, we're turning the monitors at least stay on. I need to be able to see the fucking timer. Jesus Christ.
No! Pure darkness is needed.
Pure darkness is needed. Darkness out of 10.
It must be pure.
It must be pure.
The purity culture must be enforced.
The whippings will continue until morale improves.
Yes? Okay.
Oh, is Calcifer doing a thing?
I think he actually just wants the door open, but he'll come and visit for a second.
Also, we have 3 colors left in the queue, and I think that's as much time as I have because my body is saying, "Hey, Cirrus, do you remember what you ate today? You ate some ice cream. Do you remember what your body does when you eat ice cream, Cirrus?"
Are you just telling me, like, live here with 170 people watching, you need to poop?
Yes, actually.
Okay. All right, cool. I was just making sure. All right.
I referred to Tim Pool as a post-gargle cum stain. I think people are used to this vulgarity by now.
Valid. Okay, cool. That's fine.
Jack and Quill, I accept that new fan art is in there, but I cannot do a color change because I do not have time for color change. Submissions are gone. Even if somebody donates $100 randomly, I cannot do a color change submission.
Light preferences exist while supplies lasts.
Ocean, how did we get here? There's a dead cat bread there.
What is this picture? I have no idea what is happening.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, yes, Calcifer, I'll open the door for you. All right, come on.
God, I feel like a finished version of that needs to be my computer background for a while. Jesus Christ. Cirrus needs to go sit in the smallest room in his house. Actually, the door has been removed from the bathroom, so I can actually walk into there from my office and not give a damn. It also means when guests are in my office, I can't poop in my own bathroom.
Shit.
Yes, that's what we're talking about right now.
That's what I came back to.
Oh my god, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. You know why?
Is there anything else that you want to add to the death conversation?
That we can finally use blue lights now, which means I can actually have lights around me again. That is part of the death conversation, yes?
Sure.
I don't know. How many examples of this have you seen? Because the examples that I can bring up is fuck Nazis, they deserve to die. Everybody who doesn't repent in Jeebus deserves to die and burn in hell. And those liberal snowflakes deserve to die. They were playing in traffic or otherwise. Or these people deserve to die.
I'm sure there's tons of examples that I'm not thinking about at the moment. Like there's always been like the go die in a fire sort of approach to debate.
I hope you die.
But if you're talking about like serious glorification of death, is usually in like response to it actually happening. That's when that's when I really like kind of count it. Or when like you get the people that are like have serious threats with conviction, like when you see people saying I'd run over those protesters, I'm not even kidding, I'd do it.
Or like when somebody puts your face on top of an effigy and fires a gun into it repeatedly.
Yeah, it's happened to you, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. I have a video of that up on my channel.
Right.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
But yeah, it's like there's a lot of places where this comes up, and it's always stupid. And I find that it surprises me fairly often, and maybe it shouldn't, but it does. And I guess that's a good thing, because I just don't think that way.
I mean, that's probably one of the reasons you and I can be friends.
Yeah,
it'd be very hard.
Fair.
It'd be very hard. I'm personally against the death penalty, for instance, because I don't see
right.
I see that death as a failure, not as a.
Here's one. This one might be difficult to grapple with.
Okay.
The people that were protesting to reopen the country, and everybody on the left was like, well, they're going to get COVID and they're going to deserve it.
So there's a bit of a difference there, though. So
because the left is doing it, isn't it, you biased fuck?
No, the difference there is that people are If you take the protesters for BLM, what material conditions are they looking to change? Like, what kind of world are they trying to create?
One about the BLM.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're trying to create a material world where there's less death, where there's this death is not happening. But the material world that's being created when you try to open the country early, you are actually creating a world where more death is bound to happen.
Right. Okay, I see that.
The actual conversation is different. Now, do I think that they deserve COVID? No, I don't. Do I think that this is a logical end result of this kind of behavior? Yes.
Right.
Do I think it's a good thing that somebody dies of it? No. Now, the question is, though, will I find Facebook posts from people who said, I ain't never wearing no mask, and then a post of them saying I got the Rona, and then a post 2 weeks later from their family members saying that they died? I do not think that's a good thing, but there is a certain catharsis that I get from it, and I actually feel really bad for that.
Yeah, I can feel like I see why you would feel bad from that.
Because I'm like, it's
the death part where it's like, oh, you caught it, and then it's like, oh wait, they died too, like that. So I can see the it is weird. Like I guess I don't have the same response to that you do.
Because for me, there's a part of me there's that part of me that looks at that and goes, aha, it's not really karma, because I think that karma is a very unethical system. Because karma literally necessitates that if the thing happened to you first, there was something you did at some point that led to that. So a child being molested, yeah, I don't really work with that. But
it's different to me with like. With that example you bring up, it's like different when you did something that's like just inherently immoral, you know. The fight, but then you get the whole like, what is protesting in order to get a world that's going to ultimately kill more people and that kind of stuff. Because the indirectness of it, I think, is whether or not that's justified. I think that's where my head is going. That it's an indirect action rather than a direct action, and for some reason we see direct actions as more cruel than indirect actions, even though the indirect actions
kill more
death. Yeah, exactly. So it's illogical perhaps, but it's still something that I intuit, and you could probably examine it and come up with an argument that it requires a certain kind of depravity, for example, in order to make that kind of action that is directly harming somebody, rather than to be so selfish as to not understand the kind of death that you're arguing for when you say something like reopen the country. That would be my shooting from the hip justification, but that it doesn't require the same kind of depravity.
I think for me,
but it just requires a selfishness, or a lack of foresight, perhaps.
A lack of foresight.
It's not as culpable.
So I'd say it's a lack of foresight for the uneducated usually, but if it's like the hardcore libertarian, sometimes it's not lack of foresight, sometimes it's just plain old ignorance. Because at that point, a lot of the time, they can foresee the material consequences of their actions, and they will say, but no, it's good that I was allowed to get us to this point in the first place. That's where I have issue.
Right, but I think also the foresight... I think a lot of people making those protests didn't understand the magnitude of what we're talking about, and probably still don't to an extent. Because when you look at the numbers with COVID deaths, there is a proclivity to look at it as just numbers.
Well, yeah, one death is a tragedy, but after a certain point, it's a statistic. That whole thing. Yeah,
exactly. It's like you look at that number like 120,000 or 130,000, wherever it's at right now, and. Like, even making a comment like that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's this horrifically high number. Back when it was 15, everybody would, a lot of people knew the exact number. Now it's like, well, it's about this, give or take a few.
Now we've got like
5,000.
Now we've got like about 160,000 deaths, and we have 52,000 new cases. No, 60,000 new cases per day is about where we're at.
Is it 160,000 deaths right now? I thought it was 130 something.
Let me see.
See, this is how ridiculous this conversation is. 9/11 killed around 5,000, 3,000 to 5,000 people.
Okay, no, we have...
And but this is just orders of magnitude higher than
Holy shit. We have 138,000 confirmed deaths.
right.
3.53 million confirmed cases.
How many confirmed cases?
3.53 million.
Yeah. No, I looked at the numbers like
We've-
2 or 3 days ago. and
We are
that
now
sounds right.
at 65,000 cases per day.
Yeah.
And we live in Georgia, and Kemp just said no masks. We're not going to mandate masks.
But Walmart just mandated masks, so now everybody's got to get it.
Walmart mandates masks as of the 20th, but yes.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
like,
wait, really?
Yeah, it starts the 20th for them, and
It
for
starts the
Kroger, it
20th.
starts on the 22nd.
For Kroger, it starts on the 20th. Guys, tomorrow. Anyway.
But so there was a couple comments in the chat that I did want to get to real quick. One of them is that the same kind of catharsis that a lot of people on the right get when they see somebody who's LGBTQ dying of AIDS. And I think actually it might come from the same place, and that's why I recognize it. Like, me feeling that is not a good thing. Like, I don't think it's a good thing that I feel that catharsis. I recognize that I feel it. This is one of the benefits of going to therapy weekly.
Yeah, like when you said it, I was like sitting there like trying to steelman it for you, and I was like, I can't make this work.
No, and it's not going to work. It's a feeling that I have, and I know that it's wrong. That's
right.
That's the long and short of it. But this is one of the benefits of going to therapy. If you can afford it, you can have those introspections and go, no, I feel this thing. I know it's bad, but I know I feel it. I know it's there.
Right.
It's like that wanting to punch somebody in the face type of feeling that you get sometimes. You're like, it's not a good thing. There's nothing about punching that person in the face that had maybe like cut you off in an intersection or something like that would be a good thing to do. But there is that fantasy at a first bit, and it's bad. Mm-hmm. It's really bad.
Yeah.
But pretending that you didn't have it is probably a little worse, because then you don't actually have the ability to be introspective.
It's an involuntary response, and you're not framing it in the form of an advocation.
No, I do not advocate.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just you're talking about what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just like, okay, I'm not wired that way. I'm not without
we are different people.
Those kind of like I'm not without saying things that are a little ridiculous like that sometimes, I guess. But because I think everybody's got something along those lines where but I think that saying I'm like trying to make it work, but it's not working. So
I can just recognize that it doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. I know that you've said that.
There was one other statement in there.
Away from it there.
And it was, what ism would I subscribe to? For me, it would probably be democratic socialism. I don't think that CEOs need to be a thing so much. I think that the leader of a company should be hired from within the company, and working at a company should give you a certain point of ownership in that company. The way that this is handled in certain companies right now differs.
You think that co-op should be more common than
yes,
yeah,
than private.
For some reason, people. I was looking into this, and the reason why we don't have co-ops, largely the reason why we don't have co-ops in America is because banks won't sign loans on them.
Correct.
They think they're more risky.
They're more risky than a single CEO who has a proven track record of success.
Correct. However, we see that co-ops have if you look at the data, co-ops have a better track record of success than, but also there's a lot more single CEO models to look at in comparison to that, because most people that start a business are doing that, and most people that start a business fail. And when you're doing a co-op, the odds are that you've planned it out a little bit more.
You're more likely to have a board.
Yeah, they're right. You're more likely to have a board. You're more likely to have open communication. And it makes sense that with that kind of structure, you're going to find success more often. But if loans were made more available for that, you'd probably have more people that are incompetent trying to do that model. Because as it is now, the competence required in order to do that model is probably what's guiding the success statistic on that. But whatever the case, statistically it doesn't make sense that banks don't give loans to them. But when they exist, they tend to operate pretty well.
It's the same thing that happens with insurance companies. We won't insure your home because you have a German Shepherd. Technically, it doesn't make any sense, but they have their reasons.
Did you run into that?
Hundreds of times. Like my mom worked in insurance, and we owned a German Shepherd, and she encountered this all the time. And she was not a fan of it because we had a German Shepherd, but people who have Shepherds have this issue. People who have pit bulls find this issue a lot. Like they're
like it's gonna chew up the door frame or some shit.
No, more like they don't want to cover anything that happens in a house when it's likely that the pet is going to attack a person. That's their argument.
What?
Yes.
Yes. That's what's going on. It's not coverage on the house as far as repairs go. It's coverage on damages.
Yes.
Against somebody suing you for your dog's shit.
Because if something happens within the house, you can get insurance where the things that happen within your house are covered, injuries and shit like that.
The fact that you can deny people insurance for life choices like that is it's like I get that, your insurance company needs to make money and stuff like that. But the point is, people need to have access to insurance in a world which requires fucking insurance. And if you're going to have business models that allow, like legal business models that allow people to deny people insurance for making reasonable life decisions, like owning a goddamn dog, which humans have done since the domestication of animals, which was some time ago, pre-insurance, mind you.
It's actually, if you look into it, the domestication
It's a pre-existing condition of humanity.
The domestication of dogs in human history was actually one of the things that allowed us to survive past the other
how do we repay our canine friends? By not insuring their dwellings.
Jen Aldrich in the chat just pointed out that where they live, renters won't rent and homeowners insurance will not cover vicious breeds. So there, it's
vicious breeds.
That's the way they argue.
Mine's a dog trainer. They'll go into it with you about there are no vicious breeds. There are vicious dog owners.
Correct. The reason, what happens is,
some dogs are harder to train, but there are no vicious breeds. There are vicious dog owners.
Even so, like typically your most vicious breeds are dogs
easy to train.
They're your dogs that are most loving and most affectionate. What happens though is that those hyper aggrandized emotions that we selected for breeding happened to also coincide with an ease for provocation if you are trying to do that. So like this is a dog that's going to do everything in their power to make you happy. This is a dog who also, much like somebody who is a people pleaser, is emotionally vulnerable, and you literally are exploiting that vulnerability to make that dog do things. That's a vicious breed. Basically, is just an emotionally vulnerable dog. The dog that's going to love you for everything that you are at all times.
I dated somebody that had a pit bull, and she was extremely good with it. And I saw what you're talking about. That like dogs have like varying levels of being attentive and stuff like that. I had like a little terrier growing up, but like pit bulls are incredibly attentive.
They are nanny dogs.
Say what?
They are nanny dogs.
Right. I was like, whoa, dude, like everything that you do, this dog has to know about it.
That's how this one is right here, but she's a shepherd.
Right,
so
because it's a shepherd dog. Yeah. Must know all the things. So yeah, if you mistreat a dog like that, it's going to be mean.
Of course they're going to turn out mean because
they're going to lash out.
But they're also just little babies. Like, Growlithe, like when I was talking about
so
dogs,
it's not,
that's when Growlithe starts barking.
Insurance shouldn't be punishing that, is
Correct.
the point that both of us are making. It is not the fact that it is not the fault of the dog for having emotions. Anyway.
If anybody has been in therapy,
I get pissed off at that kind of shit.
If anybody's been in therapy,
built a system that makes it so you can't care for an animal.
if anybody's been in therapy and has been with a good therapist, there is a line that you will be told, which is true. Do not be upset that you have emotions, and do not let people get upset with you that you have had emotions. It's you need to control how those emotions manifest, but having the emotions, that baseline thing, that's just the thing that fucking makes you human. Same with dogs. So, I don't know. So yeah, when it was...
We ranted today.
We did. We really did. I want to get on this topic right now. This topic just is cursed. That's what it is. This topic is cursed.
We discussed it. I think that part of the reason why we went on tangents is because we kind of exhaustively went through it.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
Yeah. Like, if we did another stream on it, we would be just retreading all the same ground, I think.
Fair. So, that said, I think that's about everything. We do need to get in the last super chats that have been put in.
Cool.
So, one from Leigh Bryant. I oppose all traditional Marxism, but I suppose social democrats... Leninism, Stalinism, and Maoism are all hot garbage. Also purple lights, and I put the purple lights in during that rotation for that. So I think that Marxism is good to expound upon in order to create good ethical frameworks where economy is concerned. I don't think opposing it is a bad... I don't think opposing it's the way to go. I think building on it is the way to go. Dracoris Felving says Peter Coffin went over social capital, which, yeah, that makes sense. And then Quessa with the 10-1, many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Then do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment, for even the very wise cannot see all ends. That was actually stated to Bilbo Baggins, and it is the reason why he did not kill Gollum in The Hobbit. Woo.
So it's his fault.
Yes, but also remember that without Gollum, they wouldn't have made it to Mordor.
Valid.
Cannot see all ends. Though, that actually does make me think of somebody said earlier in the chat, how do you deal with death, like as a concept, without something like heaven to carrot on a stick you through life?
We could do a whole nother hammered out on the afterlife. The two of us.
All things considered.
Yeah.
I actually have an answer to that, and it is straight from... We're going to do a lot of separating the art from the artist here, but I'm gonna do a quote from Dumbledore and Harry Potter for this, and I think it actually works here.
Can't do that.
No endorsement of Rowling. Rowling's a fucking monster, but the book's still decent.
Dumbledore was all right.
To quote Dumbledore,
seemed like a
here,
decent guy.
To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. Because for me personally, yeah, death sucks, because then it means I'm not going to be able to do anything else in life, and yeah, I'm probably decently scared of dying. But, like, from my framework, when I die, I'm not going to be around to care about it. And if there's something on the other end, then cool, I get to go do more shit. Neat.
So the Alan Watts also put something forward on that a lot of people, when they think about death, they think that there's just going to be this like void and of darkness, and they're going to have to undergo that for millennia on into the end of the universe. And if there is, he surmises that what happens after death is probably very much like what happened before you were born.
You won't be here to experience it.
Right. His position is that he didn't experience anything before he was born, so it stands to reason that he probably won't experience anything after he's dead.
Yeah, and I can. That's about where my framework is there.
Right. I don't know where mine is. I think that I find the afterlife interesting. I've often said that I'm agnostic about it. My tradition holds to an afterlife. There is the Helheim, Valhalla, and other afterlives, all in the same tradition. But puppers. But I'm, it's one of those things where it's like, if there is an afterlife, I'll be pleasantly surprised. If there's not an afterlife, well, I'm probably not going to care.
You're not going to be here to care about it. It's going to be the longest sleep you ever had. There's one thing that is mentioned in our chat that I do want to touch on before we go, because it is on topic. And that was, can you address the eco-fascist celebration of mass casualty events? That is surprisingly we didn't get into that.
Ooh,
And
that's a good one.
I find that eco-fascists, for instance, the Christchurch shooter was an eco-fascist. If you read his manifesto,
Right.
I
I
find
actually did read his manifesto and I didn't get that, but
it was either
Go
his
ahead.
or the there was a no, it was a different shooter. There was a shooter in Texas, I want to say. Why is this even? Why is the topic the different shooter
Whatever.
manifestos?
which shooter manifesto was the eco-fascist one? I think that the New Zealand one was just the Christchurch guy was just a fascist.
Great replationist.
Yeah.
But my so when it comes to that particular topic, celebrating the death of multiple people doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't like the eco-fascist argument for it, because by and large it is not the amount of people on the world that is causing things like climate change. By and large it is the method by which we expand that causes those problems. So when we expand and consume shit tons of fossil fuel, which is not done as much by individual actors as it is done by large-scale corporations and giant factories. If you want to celebrate anything, celebrate what they did in Final Fantasy VII and destroy the little bits of Shinra that are actually fucking up the planet.
I still haven't beat that game.
Ocean, shame on you.
I'm not cultured.
Neither have I.
Okay, fair.
I just bought it again so I would incentivize myself to play it.
So did I, and I haven't done it yet.
So I think the thing with me is that if you are an eco-fascist and you desperately want authoritarian control to save the planet, then aiming your guns at multiple innocent people who just simply exist within a system and use the means available to them within that system, I find that unethical. I don't think that's a good way to go about things. I think that the better thing would be to, if you really want to do that, aim that energy. If you're already going to be a fucking fascist and go for the authoritarian bent, aim that energy at putting regulations on businesses that prevent them from killing the planet, because that's where the buck begins. Don't celebrate the death of thousands of people.
And on that, this has been hammered out.
Oh, you don't have an opinion, Ocean?
I have a lot of opinions on. I think that carrying capacity is a thing, but I agree with your objection. So, it's like I'm definitely an environmentalist at the end of the day, but I'm not a fucking eco-fascist. I think that we can work on solutions to the main problem from the stuff that I've been looking at with respect to what's fucking up the planet is corporate disposal.
Yeah. Destroying the oceans is a big part of that.
Right. Which is the main part of like where some research that I've done for work has wound me up. Like that's where a lot of it lands. And
I think the second
you get
thing is mass
irresponsible,
deforestation, right?
Yeah. But like the thing that I was focused on was improper disposal of by corporations, and you get improper tracking of runoff, and that just sends a bunch of shit into the ocean. So it's not the number of people. We can have this number of people and not pollute a bunch of shit. We just need to have better regulations and enforce those regulations about disposal, especially by corporations, which the individual recycling as much of the plastic shit that they like. You look at how much trash your household makes in a week, and then you think of how many households are there in my street. What is the pile of trash that is made every week? What is the pile of trash that is made every week by my town, my city, my state? And then you just get this astronomical number. And that is but a fraction of corporate disposal.
Because corporate disposal is what led to you being able to have all of the plastics and everything in the first place.
Right.
So you can only ever be but a fraction, because you're a fraction of the source.
And the thing is, the trash that you're making is being put, usually, if you're an American, it's being put into a garbage truck, which is going to a landfill. Now, you can make all the kind of controversy about landfills that you want. However, least it's going there. It's being semi-responsibly disposed of. If more responsibly, at least, than by the alternative, which is usually the case with corporate disposal, that unless they're part of a waste management service, which isn't the case in many places of the world, in which trash just gets discarded. And and that's the big problem that's fucking with the environment. That's what, that's why you see wildlife tangled up in plastic usually, is because of improper disposal of runoff of corporate bullshit. So, and it finds its way into the ocean and you get all shut.
Which really upsets ocean for obvious reasons.
Yep.
Poseidon is not proud.
But yeah, like, I see you wrestling with your doggo.
She is.
But that's not to say that like personal responsibility in recycling is pointless. Like, I do it.
This is not like
I also know what little amount that it is, but I also know that if everybody does the little amount, it's going to make an effect. It's just that if you want to solve the big parts of the pie, you need to stop fishermen from just throwing their plastic nets overboard when they're done with them.
Think about this. If you're an eco-fascist and you celebrate the death of 1,000 people, that is 1,000 people who potentially could have had an influence on the corporation that actually caused the fucking problem. And they have now been removed from the conversation.
Right.
It's like being happy that a part of the nation was firebombed, so now they can't vote for the politician you don't like. Well, there's no guarantee they were going to vote that way in the first place. You just removed a bunch of potential voters who could have been on your fucking side.
But we only napalmed this gerrymandered district.
We called it redlining so we could firebomb easier.
Right.
Jesus fucking Christ. Jinx,
I think that's a good way to end. Hammered out. What the fuck was this stream?
Thank you all for coming out. We have had a blast, and honestly, I think I'm gonna do the light changing thing more often, though I'm gonna see what I can do about the rules to make it a little more manageable for me. That was every 3 minutes was maybe a little much. Now we do it again.
Every 1 minute next time.
Every second. Now it's always a rave. Ocean's just sitting there going, is he ending the stream yet? Holy shit. Thank you guys for coming out. It has been a wonderful Thursday. Actually, we stayed in enough
Subscribe to our channels.
It is no longer Thursday. Subscribe to me and subscribe to Ocean.
Yep. I don't know if my channel is linked in the description, but it should be, goddammit.
It might be. It should be. Of all the time... Wait, I think it's not, because I think I think I have a default description in there right now. God damn it.
Everybody put fire in the chat for Surus.
Thank you guys for coming out.